Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host Matt Marrero along with the other host.
I'm Anthony Toto, hey.
It's Anthony Toto. It's been so long since I've gotten Anthony Toto on this podcast. I was able to get you on Keikaku Corner, which was nice. We have those over at our Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel. So you and I talked about Avatar. It was fun. We talked about Avatar, the new Netflix series. We talked about that a little bit. But now we're talking about something quite literally, completely fucking different in every imaginable way.
Yes.
This is nothing like those in every way. This is no one can look at this in Avatar and be like, I can't tell the difference. This is not how the Avatar Netflix... No, this is not how the Avatar Netflix show will look at all.
It is not the same by any extent of the imagination.
Yeah, exactly. So, today we're talking about Ju-on, the Grudge. Now, why do I have to say that specifically just like that? Because this series, and this isn't like against the creators or anything like that. It's just when a series becomes this long and it becomes a franchise and it gets remade as an American franchise, you really have to say the right phrase. Because if I say The Grudge, everyone's like, oh, you mean like the English Grudge? It's just like, no, but you saw the thumbnail. But maybe some people are listening to this without actually looking at the thumbnail. That can happen if they're listening to the audio version or something, and they think we're talking about the American version, but we're not. We're talking about the Japanese version, but I can't say the first Grudge movie because, Anthony, you and I talked about the first two quote-unquote Grudge movies, the first two Ju-on movies, Ju-on the Curse 1 and 2, and those are definitely not talked about at all, really, because they never came out here on DVD. And those two were kind of arguably if you want to think of it from like a TV standard, they were like the pilots. They were the building blocks to this. It was like those because you did that Star Trek pilot.
And this one
for Star Trek Thursday. This one came out on DVD here, subtitled by. Oh, was it by? I don't think it was by Warner Brothers. I think it was DreamWorks that released this.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because this was the reason why the American version came out was this one was so big it was actually played at Los Angeles film festivals.
Wow.
So this was popular this was popular. I'm not saying it was mainstream popular this necessarily, but it was popular enough that I would argue more than a cult following, but in that weird middle ground, you know?
Yeah,
I know it's not mainstream. Yeah, it's not mainstream, but I don't think it was a few, like really, really, small amount of people watching this, but enough that clearly Hollywood executives were like, I smell a remake. And clearly the remake did well, Yeah. Regardless of what anyone might think of it, I may have seen it once, but it's been years. Actually, no, I have seen it. I even have it on DVD. I just remembered. I'm thinking of The Ring that I haven't seen in years. What?
I haven't seen the American version. The remake I haven't seen.
Okay, but I'm sure you've seen clips around. That's the thing too. This movie.
I only know that it starred Sarah Michelle Gellar. That's all I know about.
Really? Okay. No, because I thought you would have known about. But I thought you would have known about like Kayako going down the stairs or generally with her long hair. Because I feel like that character, even if you don't know about the movie. Well, because I thought.
I think I know about that scene.
Yes, because even if not her going down the stairs, I thought, and maybe I'm wrong here, and we'll talk about the movie itself in a minute or so, but just generally the mythos surrounding this movie, the how it kind of seeped into pop culture in a way just like the virus, if you will, in the movie. I thought that people looked at this movie, or at least some of the characters in this movie, the same way you look at Freddy or Jason. You might not watch Nightmare on Elm Street or even Friday the 13th, but if you see the hockey mask, you're like, oh, Jason.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So,
I know. I had known of her, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Even if not the scene of her crawling, just of her existence, because it's been parodied. I mean, it was in Scary Movie 3,
yes,
I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, have you seen that
but
franchise,
I just
Scary
didn't
Movie?
See the what? I'm sorry.
have you seen the franchise, like the parody Scary Movie franchise? It's like Scary Movie 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, I haven't.
Okay, those can be really funny, but they parody scary movies, of course. So one of them had some of this in its plot-ish.
Oh, okay, I see that.
Yeah. So that's also where I got it from.
It should be worth pointing out that I am not a horror person generally. I don't.
No, yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning that it's not like my first genre to like my go-to thing, and I don't know a lot about it that generally that most people would.
And that's why I wanted to bring you into this, because of the fact that, because the thing is, some people, because the way I like to look at the stuff that we do, either on this channel, depending on where you're listening to this, just in general, even with the games that we play and stuff like that, I try to either be the one that's not educated on the game and bring someone in who knows something about it, or vice versa, or, someone and I know about maybe the concept, so Tristan and I, in July, for Halloween in July, we played Akira, the Akira game on the NES, technically Famicom. He and I loved Akira. We watched the movie. We did a podcast on the movie, but the anime movie, but we never played the game. We never even knew it existed. Yeah, so we played the game, and we were like, oh, God, because we went through it blind, and it's an actual, it's a, not choose your own adventure, but it's a point-and-click. Point-and-click
adventure game, yeah.
Yes, but again, it's for the NES, so you have to use a joypad to point and click. It's a thing. I agree. But the point, though, is that we don't know about it, so I wanted to bring you in on this, and you talked about this a little bit when we did Ju-On the Curse 1 and 2, but maybe some newer listeners are coming in. Hi, how you doing? So, it's good that you informed them of that yes, you're not, a horror movie buff, and that's okay. That's why I want to bring you into this, because... Exactly, because even though the reason why I wanted to bring you into this too is because even though yes, there's some blood and gore in this, I thought that there was something more. I don't want to sound like one of those those critics. It's very cerebral, I don't want to be that person, but it isn't just people getting stabbed at a camp. Granted, yes, there's also some underlying stuff in there about debauchery and youth. Yes, you can get into that as well, but I think to some people they're just like, ooh, I don't want to see all that blood and gore and people getting hung from meat hooks and stuff like that. This movie is not that, in my opinion.
No, it's not.
Especially a lot better than the second one, I think. No, the first one, Ju-On the Curse. Because the thing with that one, even though I enjoyed it from from the same perspective that I see this one, the thing with the fetus was way too far. I was like, bruh. I was like, not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
That was
Yeah. So even though this one started the way that it didn't go in that direction. It's strange because this one is actually a remake, technically, of the first two, because at first I thought it just happened a few years later, but there's a few things that they just didn't mention and seem to have combined into this one, like how the teacher comes to the house, but this time it's a woman instead of a man. So clearly they took some stuff from the first two films, The Curse 1 and 2, and they kind of changed a few things here and there and adapted it into this longer film, clearly with a bigger budget too, by the way.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was like, but were they aware that the stuff from the previous two films were going on? Doesn't anyone just know about this house now? Why is everyone going in blind now? It might have gotten out. I don't. That's what I.
No. I felt the exact same way, and because that's how I felt at first. I was like, what's going on here? You would think the house would be abandoned by this point.
Yeah,
but then,
now it's like, oh, someone lives there now again? Oh, no.
That's the thing, yeah. At first I thought, why is it not abandoned? But I think what they did was, from the looks of it, I haven't read about this specifically online, but from some of what I looked up and just watching the movie and reading up on the first two again, it really does seem as if they took the family, the one where the woman gets possessed and then kills her husband. They, instead of doing that, they just gave them, they put the mom in the house, the elderly woman who needed care. They just put her there, and then gave the guy a sister, which they did have. He had a sister, and she ended up getting possessed too. Like in the first two movies, what they ended up doing was they kind of didn't just say, "Oh, you get the curse follows you; it also possesses you." I'm happy they kind of downplayed that, because in the first two, that really made Kyoko, that made her way overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
Like as if, like even though I still think it's a bit too powerful that you can, the curse can pass on in general, but at the point when it felt like it could possess people and multiple people throughout Japan, I'm just like, oh, then you're all going to die no matter what.
Yeah.
At least, you know what I'm saying? At least in this case, even though the curse thing is still there and it still gets passed on because, that the sister left, went to her apartment, and then they were still there. So, like, I still think it's a bit much, but I think it's better than multiple people getting possessed, because that just got weird.
Yeah,
if you remember, it was just weird.
I really liked, I liked the format better of this one, where it was less about her, which I liked, and more about everyone else and their reactions to her and how they perceive her, and it made her a lot more threatening to not know as much about her or when she would appear or things like that.
Yes, I see. No, yeah, I see exactly where you're coming from, because in the first two, even though they were shorter than this, they ended up, I think, being 2 hours separately. Although there was some reused footage, so I don't remember exactly, how long it was technically. But in this one, it's an hour and 30. It's just straight up movie. There's no weird, cut in between or anything like that. And I think another thing too, not just was she more menacing because you didn't know as much about her, you didn't follow her as much. But another thing too is that I will say though, actually, one thing. Well, that was good. One issue that I had this one versus the other two was I feel like we didn't get to know as much about the characters. Yes, we got their reactions, which is nice, but I kind of wanted to know more about them, not just reacting to her, but I don't know. There's something that I felt like even though we got too much of her, which we say all the time, not just you and I, but in general, Tris and I have said this and a bunch of other, I feel like a lot of people in the horror community, when we know too much about the bad guy or whoever if you want to call them the bad guy, in this case, even though her death was tragic, she still is clearly considered the villain for obvious reasons. When you murder people in that fashion, I think you can be labeled the villain. But seeing too much of the monster or them before they were the monster, you then are like, wait, so I feel bad for her, but should I be rooting? What do you do at that point? You're like, I don't want to root. What do I want to do? Because I want them to escape, but also, dear God, it's so sad. Clearly we saw the tragic backstory in the beginning, and we got a little bit here and there. But yes, we focused way too much on the guy, on her ex-husband. Well, I think at the time it was her husband. Now it would be ex. If divorce court was in the afterlife, he would be an ex. But at this point, at the point of the murder, he was the husband, and he was an alcoholic, and he was a shit fuck. So he did appear. He was an asshole. Yeah. Although we did see some weird possession scene, so it was an interesting thing they did do around the end. Although technically it could be around the beginning, depending on how you shift the scenes, because they still were out of order. I don't know if you noticed that, Anthony. They still were Tarantino-esque out of order scenes.
Oh, yeah. No, I noticed that because I was confused at first, and then I was just like, I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, no, they were just like the first two. They were not in chronological order. So when it came to, it seemed like either you are going to be killed by her or you are going to be possessed by the husband. And very Amityville Horror-esque.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you know about Amityville Horror. I know you live on Long Island. The whole
I've heard
the first
things.
person. Yeah. Basically, with the movie, if I remember correctly, it was so and so killed his family years ago. You move to the house, you get possessed by that guy, and then you have the urge to kill your family. That was the movie.
Yeah.
Not saying that's real life.
I think you can still visit the house too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah. No, and we have friends. I'm not going to name them, but we have friends. Actually, well, my friends, not yours, because you haven't met them yet. But we have a friend who's with those guys, play those guys on the radio, and he refuses to go near the house. So some friends of ours tried to drive him near the house, and he was like, "Get that shit away from me." And it was very interesting. I don't want to say who because I don't know if I want to embarrass them.
It's not on the top of my bucket list either, I would say.
Yeah, right? I love it. Anthony's like, I'm not saying that I believe, but why are we driving by this house, you cretins? And it's like, all right, Anthony, fair. We'll make the right into murder lane. No, let's keep going straight. But anyway, so, yeah, when it comes to the whole possession, the possession thing was weird. What was really fucking weird was I thought the house was showing the dad, who used to be a detective, I thought the house was showing him a vision, which made sense to me. I know it might seem odd, but whatever. It showed a vision. Who fucking cares, right? It would have made sense if they, because here's the thing. My whole thing is this, right? With all the Japanese media that I consume, to me it just makes sense that if there was such a strong, what?
I said, which is a lot.
Which is a lot of Japanese media that I consume, yes. The idea is, to me, if someone died in the house, if their grudge is so strong and you're giving her paranormal powers, she can showcase other, scenarios that have happened in the house. Like, oh, his daughter died in the house, or nearly escaped from dying in the house, or his daughter is, touched by that curse and she's running out of the house. Yeah, he'll be able to see that. In my head, I was like, that makes sense, right? Then, later on, they were like, actually, that was time travel. And I'm like, slow your fucking roll. Time out. What? All I heard in my head was, Nani, what the fuck? Because were you as confused as I was at that point? Because I thought visions were A-okay. But when the daughter said, I saw you in that house that day, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I didn't know what the hell was happening, if I could be honest, at that point.
I agree 100%. Because, again, for some reason, the visions make sense. And again, I don't know why. You could be like, Matt, but why, though?
I would be completely okay with the visions, actually.
Yes, okay. Because it's stuff that happened in the house. It's like replaying like a VHS tape, in the house's consciousness, if you will. Because the whole idea of the film is she died horrifically in that house. There is a grudge. There is a curse. And that's actually a type of spirit. The onryo is actually, I'm pretty sure I pronounced that right. That's a type of spirit. I'm pretty sure they said it in the beginning of the movie. They had the definition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an actual type of spirit that's talked about in Japanese folklore. So that actual type of spirit, I think that's another reason why that also took both the U.S. and Japan by storm. It was taking something that is in Japanese folklore that's not too odd looking and could be considered too funny, and using it to scare the crap. And the reason why I say that is because, by the way, using it to scare the crap out of people is what I was going to say. But the reason why I say not too funny looking is because it would look, and I'm sure people have done this. I'm sure there's been movies that have done this. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there has to be. But it would look odd if they did the same thing with a kappa. But they could, because I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, kappa are supposed to steal kids' souls. I thought.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. Or drown them. I'm probably wrong. But I thought that kappa aren't as happy as Cap'n in fucking Animal Crossing. Kappa in folklore, I thought they were pretty mean and downright dirty. But it would still look odd if you tried to put someone in a kappa costume and have them murder people by a lake.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But in this case, You can take the idea of an onryo, have her long hair, have her come down the stairs, have her make those noises, which, by the way, that noise fucks me up. The noise that she makes either over the phone or as she's crawling down the stairs.
That's one of the few things I find creepy.
Yeah, like, I don't think you understand what happened to me the night after I watched this movie fully. I mean, I'm sure I saw it. I'm sure I saw it earlier in my life, but it happened to me the night that I watched it for this podcast. So the movie was over. I think it might have been an hour or two later, and I hear the noise. Can I do the noise, Anthony?
Do the noise.
I haven't done it in a while, but I hear the noise. Like I hear like, nope, I need water. So I hear like, and I'm just like, what the fuck is that? And I realize it's my stomach. And I was so. Do you understand, Anthony, how odd it is to be infuriated by your digestional tract? Like my stomach.
Oh, I am every day.
Never mind, Anthony. But for that reason in particular, it's like when I watched. By the way, this is how I know. This next thing we're going to say. This is how I know that there is a God, but he likes to fuck with me. No matter how many times I watch The Ring, when the credits roll, I swear to God, someone will call me. It is without a shadow of a doubt. It's happened on several occasions, and it's been normal people, family. You know, it's been family, it's been friends. The family, I can't tell the fuck off. The friends, I do furiously. I'm like, let me explain to you what you just did, you little shit. So that's what I tell, because it happens a lot. In this case, it was, again, a similar situation. You know, you're sitting there, you finish watching the movie, about an hour or two later, you hear, and I'm like, what in the fuck? And I look down, and I'm like, it's you at my stomach. I'm like, why are you doing this? What are you doing? So that was terrifying. So something that I love too, that I think this movie actually did better than the first two movies, the cuts in and out between showing that either the little boy is there or, you know, that something is there, be it either her in all black, something is there, but the cuts in and out were beautiful. So, like, in other words, 1 minute you have, the brother in the room with the sister, and then he's looking at her, and he's like, okay, I mean, she's not doing so hot, but I think she's going to be okay. Let me turn around. Turns around, and then all of a sudden the boy is there just staring at her, and then he turns back, and there's nothing there. And I'm like, that was done very well. Like, I appreciate that so much, just the cuts and things like that, because I'm sitting here, and I don't know, for me it wasn't even scary necessarily, it just made me smile. Like, that was done very well. I think the ones that freaked me out the most, the ones that seemed even if I expected it to happen, it was just eerie, and it hurt when she looked directly into the camera. Like when the security guard was taken.
I was gonna bring that up. That was one of two moments that actually creeped me out. The one where she was in all black on the security camera, and then she walked up to the camera and you just saw her eyes. That was I backed away from my laptop during that moment. I've never been afraid of a technological device like that. But
your parents are furious. They're like, son,
I staggered back.
Son, why do you need a new laptop? Now, you can afford the new laptop, but they're like, son, why do you need a new laptop? And you're like, that is for me to know alone, dear father and dear mother, but I also need some more holy water.
Yes.
And I think at that point, you just doused the thing in holy water like it was fucking kerosene.
That's what I
By the way,
I only clean my screens now in holy water.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of kerosene, when the the exact moment when the ex-cop, dad, when he's actually going to light the place up, I think I was chanting at that point. Just chanting aloud. I did not have a care in the world, dude. I was like, burn it all to the ground, we will rebuild. Burn it all to the ground.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say rebuild at that point.
Yeah, right? Just because at that point, like, even when he's just like, oh, I hear voices, you will find them in the fire. Burn it all to the ground. What are you doing?
And,
why?
And the other part that really creeped me out was when she just appeared in the bed.
I expected the bed, but you know what I didn't expect? The window. Actually, no, I expected the window, but it still freaked me out. Like when the social worker is walking into the room. Because I think it was social worker. When she's walking into the room after ripping the tape off, she goes back downstairs, comes up, and near that bedroom, there's a window, and you just see her face press on the window. And I'm like, that's what shitting yourself is. That's what I just did. Like, Matt, did you just buy like a 10-pack of adult diapers? Not just, and I've gotten through 9. Anyway, I'm going to need some more of those adult diapers. But that
was one. That was one also.
Yes. No, that's the thing. The way. What?
But still, the bed creeped me out a little bit more, only because, yes, I was expecting it, but the psychological uncomfortivity of the fact that this thing is on top of you, under the covers, looking at you.
Yeah, I don't know if this is...
I just made up a word, too.
You did. No, I know that you did, and I accept it. It's now in the lexicon. The thing is, Anthony, it's just a word now. Fuck it. The internet will make do. No, what got me, I think, and I don't know if this is a thing in Japan like it is in the U.S., but because I don't know how this is worldwide. I know like different cultures have different kinds of coping methods with things like this. But for us in the U.S., I can speak from this. Maybe you can agree, disagree, Anthony. Trying to get under the covers is the thing that saves you. Not completely under the covers, because even horror movies in the U.S. have been like, you're completely under the covers, it's going to get you then. So no, I don't put all of myself under the covers, because then Satan can get you. But like if your head is out and your arms are under the covers, then I'm pretty sure it's confirmed no demons, nor Satan, nor anything under your bed, monsters or otherwise, or even in your closet, can get you, because you're under the covers secure. Only your head can stick out. You see what I mean, though, right, Anthony? Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm. No, you're not wrong.
In this case, it's like, no, it's under the covers and it's coming out from under there, and it's just like, oh, you sassy minx, you. How dare you?
But that proves my point of why it was really creepy.
No, that's what I'm saying. 100% I agree with you, and that's why. Because I don't know if that's the case in Japan, but yeah, as a U.S. citizen, as someone who's born in the United States of America, you have to keep almost, like, I'm going to say like 80% of your body underneath the blanket.
As a citizen of the United States, I can say that being tucked in protects me from demons.
It's just the law. And so in this case, it's terrifying that she was underneath those covers. So I give you that 100%. It's just for me, I think, because I've seen this before, I could piece some stuff together, but not all of it. So I could see that and be like, oh, right, yes, that was going to happen. Something else I want to mention, too, and I think this is just looking at this in hindsight. Yeah, so I didn't think about this at the time, but in hindsight, seeing the security camera that this is the sister in her apartment, that she's watching the security guard get taken into, like into the room. Yeah. But when she's actually looking at that monitor, now in hindsight, all I can see while looking at the monitor is, oh, wow, that's a really good quality CRT television. They don't make those like that, Anthony. Those are security grade ones. The amount of retro games you could play on that, it would look crisp. And it's like, Matt, really not the right time.
Oh, yeah.
That is so inappropriate. The man's dead. I'm like, but on a good-looking out. Matt, no.
If there's a way to go, then yeah.
That's how you go. The elevator scene was beautiful. I don't even know how they shot that. That looked amazing. They had to have superimposed the kid in every time.
Yeah.
But it was just done. No, but it was done seamlessly, though. Like, there was no speck of, at least from what I was looking at, maybe, I'm wrong here. Maybe if you slowed it down, you can tell. But just watching it a few different times, it does not seem like they superimposed him in. Like, maybe they just, the way that they took the shot, they just took the same shot and copy-pasted it. So maybe you could tell it, like, at the top, it may have looked different, or, like, at the bottom. But, like, the kid looked the exact same in every single shot, like he legit was on every single floor. God, that was done so well. Oh, the peekaboo thing, too, was hilarious. With the old man at that nursing home.
Oh,
when he
yeah,
was playing
that's right,
peekaboo with nothing, and they're just like, oh, he's just playing peekaboo with nothing. And then you saw the reflection in the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, God damn it. Because, again, it's just done. So that's the thing. Like, with a movie like this, I just really started to appreciate it, the way all the scares are set up, rather than just being scared. I mean, believe me, again, I went through those depends rather quickly, but it was still shot so well that I can just appreciate it. And that's, again, like I mentioned way earlier, why I wanted to bring you on, so that you can go, wow, that was done well, not just like, ring, 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 like, oh, that's blood. Oh, that's an arm. That's flying in the air. Arm is flying in the air right now.
The camera work and the cinematography was really good, both for the time and so much better than the previous two. I mean, it was later, but yes, given that. Well,
yeah, it wasn't that much later. Let's actually talk about. I'll talk about the time period and also how much money it made in a second, like the actual time it came out, the movie itself. One thing I want to mention, though, that was really odd. Like, from someone watching the film as a horror fan, I enjoyed it. But as someone trying to follow the film just logically, this didn't make sense to me. I don't know why Kayako was just fucking with the sister in the apartment. Now, I understand, like, I can't get to her right this second. That's cool. But I do think that some of the scares were just trying to kind of have us go along with the film so that, and look, I totally get that there's a suspension of disbelief. I totally get suspension of disbelief. I get it. Like, oh, Kayako has to come down the stairs to kill you. That I also get too. But it's odd that she had, like, the brother was like a figment, I can't think of the word. The brother was he wasn't actually there. He was just an illusion. He was a mirage. And then she opens the door, and then it's like she hears, over the phone. It confuses me only because I'm like, wait, was it like a vampire? Like, you have to technically let me into the house. If you close the door, I literally can't come in. That's confusing.
Like having scary scares for the sake of being scary.
Yes. Now, granted, they were. Like, I'm not saying they weren't.
Oh,
right?
yeah, no, they absolutely were.
Yeah, but it just was confusing because at least with the first, with the first one and the second one technically as well, yes, the curse followed you outside of your house, so this one is doing the same thing. So I totally understand, the curse is following you outside of the residence. You have fucked up. Also, if you come in contact with anyone who is cursed, you are fucked up. So you have to visit the house. That's why Japan seemed, at one point in the movie, it seemed deserted, because you wonder how many people were killed by this curse.
Yeah.
So I totally get that it does that. Again, that's even though I don't like it, it's something that has been established in the continuity, so we have to accept it. We can dislike it, but it's in the film. But the thing is, with how long it took for her to kill her under the covers, it literally makes you question, did she have to open the door? Like, was there going to be knocking? Was it going to, was she going to open it up, like, to go to work in the morning and then be murdered? Like, you do have to ask the question, though, because it is confusing that she had to open up the door, assuming it was her brother, and then she gets murdered. I'm like, wait, but couldn't she just use the window? Or maybe go through a wall? Did she have to walk all the way there from the house? That takes a long time. Like,
yeah, I don't think you were meant to think that hard into it.
I think you were meant to, which I was, by the way, be absolutely fucking terrified.
Well, yeah, that's
dear
more
God,
of what you were meant to be.
And I was, to be fair. It's just that, this is my 5th time watching it over the years, so that's why. And of course, we're talking about this on a podcast, so it'd be odd if it was like, don't think about it,
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying no. You're not allowed to think about it or discuss this movie on this podcast.
Oh no, I guess we have to discuss it via interpretive dance.
That would actually be terrifying.
I love it. That would be the terrifying part. The cat meow is always... You know what's interesting? I think the cat meow, you can get used to it over time, but then the close-up shot to, like, the kid's mouth, and I'm like, oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I feel like the cat meow can become comical in a way, depending on how it's used.
Yeah, I thought, like, it was half creepy and half, I feel, a running gag.
Yeah, because there's a reason for it. If you don't know, Anthony, I'm pretty sure we talked about this last time, or at least in one of the 2 podcasts for either movie. But basically, the husband not only killed the wife, and I think he either killed the kid or the kid was spirited away by the mom, which spirited away is an actual term. I don't know if you know that. It's not just the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew that.
So
yeah.
I think okay, cool, because some people don't, and I didn't for a long time. So the kid, I'm pretty sure, wasn't killed by the dad. I'm pretty sure he was spirited away by the mom. And then the mom, of course, was killed. Her throat was cut. And then the cat was drowned because at this point, clearly the guy was like, well, I'm a piece of shit, so I guess I'll also kill the cat. So he killed the cat as well. And that's why the cat, like, you hear the cat meowing through the boy, because the boy loved the cat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In a sense, that makes sense. The point though is that he meows. I think the time it was the creepiest, it wasn't even in this movie. It was in the first one when the teacher in this continuity, in the first one he was male. When the teacher was like, "Oh, is there a cat around here?" and doesn't see that the boy's mouth is wide open meowing. That was fucking intense. I was like, "Oh like you were like, "Oh, so something is clearly wrong here."
Yeah,
This time, I don't think it was...
Something's going on.
Something's happening. At this point, I don't think it was creepy until we saw, like, the close-up of the mouth, and I was like, oh, good God, that is Satan. Satan. That is a Satan. But yeah, so I'm trying to look up The Grudge right now. So you think this movie, out of all 3 thus far, this is the best one? Okay, so
I do think, yeah.
No, it's funny because I'm trying to look for this. So I'm like, I'll give it to Anthony. Anthony, here's the mic, and you didn't even hold the mic. You were like, yes, I do. And I'm just like, oh no, I'm trying to look for this.
Oh, okay.
And you didn't even. What? No, but all jokes aside, do you think this movie should have been longer or shorter? That's the one I always love to ask.
I think that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think it could have stood to be a bit longer, which and the time could have been used to again find out more about the actual characters, and
Yes.
not that and not just that they're they're a social worker and they're or they're going in to investigate the house, or they're the caretaker or whatever they're thinking, because that's very much on the surface. I want to
Yes.
know what their fears were, what their motivations for doing the things that they did were, and I think we could have learned more about them.
I think I agree 100%. Just a little bit more, because yes, we know like familial, connections, like, oh, that one is the sister and she has her own apartment, and that's the brother with the wife and the mom, and then the mom clearly, died, and then the social worker is clearly, scared to all fucking ends. And then of course we see a teacher who again, was very much like the teacher in the first movie, and she's like, oh, this kid never even showed up to class. What in the fuck? And then it seems like she's connected to the social worker. And so like there were and of course the instead of having the situation at the school like they did in the second movie, I believe, they actually had the daughter. They had her be a daughter to this ex-cop coming in. So they kind of tied in a lot of stuff from the first two, yes, but I still think they could have expanded on it a bit further.
Yeah.
But talking about the movie,
I would have made the movie longer and done that.
Exactly. Same here, because the movie was an hour and 30 minutes, which is not bad, but again, I think that we lost a little bit here and there. We could have had some more. But anyway, so I want to talk about the fact that this movie came out October, October 18th. So let me see, what day is it today? Oh, by the time this comes out, it would have been a day after this movie's anniversary. Oh shit. I did not realize that. That's actually really cool. You could say that I planned it. We fucking, sure. Why not, right? We totally planned that.
Matt completely planned it, and he didn't even tell me. That's how good he is.
I know. That's just how good. I even tell myself that's how fucking good I am. So, this movie came out October 18th, 2002. So it's 16 years old. The original two came out in 99 and 2000. So it's only 2 years after, but even though they don't have the budget listed here on Wikipedia, you have to assume it was clearly bigger than the original movies. Because not only the camera work, but it definitely seems like the budget was larger. One thing I want to mention as well, in the box office, and I'm going to see if this is U.S. or Japanese. Oh, that's interesting. This is U.S. box office. So I guess it did come out in America as well, in theaters, not just, in the indie circuit, because it was released by Lionsgate Films. That's what it says here. And box office-wise, it made $3 million, $3,004,709. So, it seems to have made, because I don't know if that $3 million was in yen at first, but it seems like no, that $3 million was in the U.S. as well. So I imagine it picked up enough steam, which, to be fair, while there is dialogue in the movie, a lot of it does rely on the scares that I truly believe are universal. So, so it is something that, translates well to any language, really. So I think,
culturally, there are things, no matter what culture you are in, that will creep you out, because we all have this human fear of the unknown.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna start going Doctor Who, this fear of the dark.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah, but just the Vashta Narada. Anyway, just go into that whole spiel. But no, we do have this fear of the unknown, and I would say that even though we know a little bit about her, her powers are at the time relatively unknown, especially if you haven't seen those first two. That again, were not really released outside of Japan, so I totally get it. why some people be like, what in the fuck? Like, because at this point, imagine going into this completely cold. Like, nothing
if that
about.
was the first thing I was seeing of it, I think I would be looking at it a bit differently.
Yeah.
I think I would be like, what the hell is those sounds exactly.
Those sounds exactly. No, but it makes sense though, because going into this completely cold, like you don't. And I'm not saying that it's bad that we went in with the other two. I wanted to go into those because not only have I never seen those, but I thought those were good ways to kind of get into this franchise. But this definitely, if you went in without any. Also, again, too, at the time, 2002, obviously Japanese horror movies existed. Obviously the internet existed, but it's not like it is now. We didn't have Netflix. We didn't have any streaming services whatsoever. So there's a different take on it as well, because I think maybe some youngins, some youths that might be listening to this might have seen the film and they're thinking, but it's average, right? Or it's not as scary as what they might be thinking.
Well,
and I think it's just
which I kind of think that as well. I think that if you're going to watch something that is going to creep you out or be like more scary, I think you would probably watch something else,
something newer. Yes, because I think nowadays, and I'm not trying to get on this pedestal because I like the horror movies nowadays, but I think especially in the, and I'm not saying anything about the trailers because to be fair, I haven't seen the trailers for this film. I'm sure they're also quite scary, but I would argue that they focus on certain tactics that, even though these were also jump scares, they go even farther to set up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the reason why I like this movie, and I also like what, because I've talked with Tristan as well on Ringu, I like the atmosphere as well.
Yes.
And I think this movie does set up an atmosphere of some kind. Granted, I think in a weird way, Ringu had more atmosphere than it did scares. This one has more scares than it does atmosphere. And if I show you Ringu, I'll probably try to get the two of you guys over to just hang out because because it's been a while since we've hung out together, and also you've never seen Ringu, and he's never seen Ju-on the Grudge. That'd be funny if we just watched all three, just chilling around. But still, point though is that I feel like this one has more scares because with Ringu, it's a bit more of how is she going to get you versus here it's more like, I would say that in that one it's more certain too because, of course, 7 days, et cetera. But in this case, it's definitely like you're wondering how they're going to be murdered, where it's going to be murdered by the videotape. But in this case, it's kind of like, oh, you don't have to be in the house? Oh, yeah, you're going to die. I don't know where and how, but you're going to fucking die. So let's see how this is going to turn out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you work at a building where this woman lives and she went into the house? You're going to die too, security guard. Alrighty. It's, oh, don't worry, miss. I'll take care of that. Nope, you're going to die. You're going to die. Like, it's just...
Narrator, he did not, in fact, take care of that.
Exactly. It literally was, I'm going to take care of that. He did not, in fact, take care of that. Oh, my God. But, so, Jesus. Another reason why, by the way, I mentioned this way earlier in our podcast, but I talked about the fact that you have to be very specific when naming this movie is because not just with The Grudge, being a U.S. franchise as well, having three of them. Also, the fact that there is a Ju-on the Grudge 2. So there is a sequel to this film as well. So you could also get confused because there's Ju-on the Curse, Ju-on the Curse 2, there's Ju-on the Grudge, Ju-on the Grudge 2, Ju-on the Grudge 3. So after a while, you're like, okay, sit me down. What the fuck? You get confused just by the naming conventions alone.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why early.
It's important, especially for the Japanese ones, to specify.
Yeah, most definitely. There's also a game for this, by the way, as well. Guess what it was released for? Have you heard about this game?
I have not, and I'm scared, and I'm just like, oh no, you're gonna have us play it, aren't you?
Probably, but you have to be over here. The Nintendo Wii.
Really?
Yes, it can sense your fear. It actually does. Legit. You have to try not to be afraid.
Oh, for the love of God. Okay.
Yeah, no. You're in the house. And she's in the house with you. Yeah.
Do I have to be?
Well, I mean, I would be playing it. You would be sitting there terrifying me more than she ever would.
Oh, well, yeah, that's exactly what would happen, yeah.
Exactly. It's called Ju-on the Grudge Haunted House Simulator. And normally I don't like talking about the prices of games on anything, be it on the Let's Play chat or on the gaming channel that we have or anywhere else. But I'll talk about this one only because this one, I think because it was made by Xseed, also because it's a horror game and a lot of horror fans out there and crossover with video game fans, and also based on the fact that it's based off of a popular franchise that isn't shit. The game isn't shit. Neither is the franchise, of course. This one can be a little bit expensive, so I don't know how we'd play it, to be fair, so that also saves you as well. If that makes you feel any better. Me trying to actually get the game. Yeah. Speaking of the time when we see her eye in the goddamn security cam, what freaks me out about it the most, I think, is the fact that I thought we were going to see her eye again, but just when the darkness envelops the camera, I think you felt safe. It was terrifying, but you're like, okay. It was scary that she popped out of there, and then it's scary that the darkness enveloped it, but then that was it. And then her eyes open, and you're just like, I think this is cardiac arrest. Okay, I'm gonna take a nap here. Wake me up when it's all over. Your life or the movie? Yes. Just wake me up when it's all over. Because seriously, dear God, right? Like and then here's the thing too, right? When you see her eyes and you're like, oh, is it over? She blinks. And you're like, please stop, Satan. Please stop. I can only take so much. But, but I don't know. So here's a scene. I don't know if you thought this. A scene that I thought was kind of comical when it probably shouldn't have been. When she is above the bed, not under the cover, she's actually above the bed looking down, and the boy is sitting on the bed. I found that more funny than scary.
Yeah.
Again, it was shot well, but I just found it more funny than scary only because I don't know why, I just heard just like, so, I'm going to take your soul. Mom, are we going to take your soul? Sweetie, that's what I just said. Can you let Mommy work? Like, she's over staring at her, and the boy's just on the bed, just like, so, are we going to take your soul yet? Again, sweetie, just said. It's like the are we there yet in the car?
Are we there yet?
Are we going to take the soul yet? Are we going to take the soul yet? Are we going to take the soul yet? Are we going to take, sweetie, I told you, Mommy needs to fuck with them a little bit more. No swearing in the house. Sweetie, we're not in the house.
Don't make me turn this house around.
No. Like, no, but literally, like, if she was swearing, she was in someone else's house at that point. I thought she was in someone else's apartment. So it's just like, sweetie, please fucking stop. No swearing in the house, Mommy. We're not in the house, sweetie. When we're in the house, no swearing. That's cheating. You're fucking damn right it is, sweetie. But, you're being mean, Mom. Sweetie, go to your ghost room. But,
the Grudge ghost room.
The Grudge ghost room. Anyway, so, I enjoyed this. By the way, speaking of the daughter, Matt, that wasn't a transition. What are you talking about? Speaking of the daughter, I enjoyed her subplot of feeling feeling remorse over leaving her friends in that house, because I got to be real, I would feel remorse in a way, but I would also slightly feel completely justified. It would jump between both. Like, I'd be like,
Yeah.
I didn't want my friends. No, because I got to be real. If it was you, Tristan Walter, and, like, Satish Ram in a house, and I was like, guys, I really think this place is haunted. There's some shit going down. I'm going to leave. And you guys didn't leave, and then you died. I would feel terrible that I lost 3 of my best friends. But at the same time, I fucking warned your asses. So I'd be like, I didn't want them to die, but man, did I call it. I don't know.
I would probably be the friend that would say, let's get the hell out of here.
That's fair. That's fair. So it'd be you and I being like, let's leave, and Tristan and Stitch being like, come on.
Yeah.
But that's the thing for me. I feel as if if you guys died, it would be horrific because I would be losing you guys, and that's really bad. Like, I would feel like I left you there, but at the same time, I'd be like, I said some shit about it though. Like, you really should have left with me though. Yeah. So that's just my take. That's just my take on this. I
completely agree.
Yeah. Something else that I found interesting, we talked about earlier, kind of positioning the shots in a certain way. The way they positioned the 2 shots of the girls in the room during the day and not having that in any way change the lighting from when, they're looking out, when the dad is looking inside the room at night, was done very well. And I know it might seem like, Matt, seriously, like, why are you talking about this over and over again? Like, it's just the fact that, like, stuff like that. It's because I feel as if, especially looking at the first 2 movies, you could tell a little bit, like, oh, that's an effect of some kind. Mm-hmm. But in this movie, it was very hard for me to tell that something was an effect, that made it look so, like, realistic, if you will. Like, even the makeup was so on point, I couldn't even tell that the kid was alive. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I know what you mean.
The makeup looks so good. It's like, oh, yeah, no, that's a dead boy. And it's like, no, Matt, that's makeup. It's not real. Nope. They killed him. He's fucking dead. It's like, no, Matt, he's a real person with makeup on. I'm like, nope, don't believe it. Not going to test it out. You could see his IMDb page. That's the IMDb page of the dead. Don't look at it. They don't invite it into your home. But you see what I mean, though, right? Like, it was done so well that I was like, wow. Like, it was just on point. Something else I wanted to mention. Right. For some of you guys that are like, why is Matt making these random transitions at different points? If some of you are new listeners, not some long-time listeners, because long-time listeners know this because I mention this all the fucking time, I have the movie replaying in the background as we're talking about it, just in case I want to be reminded of a few things here and there. Sometimes I'll have notes, but sometimes I think those are a bit too rigid. But if I'm watching the movie again and we're talking about it, yeah. I mean, I've talked to you about this before, just in case something, my memory is jogged by something. So in this case, my memory was jogged. Like, I see the daughter in the background. I'm like, speaking of the daughter, Matt, no, we weren't speaking of the daughter. But how did you feel about her dead friends coming back from the grave to kind of haunt her? I still feel like that's odd no matter what version it happened in, because that kind of happened in the second, Ju-on the Curse, because it was just a bunch of Kayakos, but it was a bunch of clones, and they were copy-pasted like they were green-screened in, if you remember.
Yeah.
So,
I was just like, I don't see a reason for it, but I'm not going to really argue with it at this point.
Yeah. Is it terrifying? Yes. Did it need to be in the film? No. That's my take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
but am I still terrified? Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah, no, I'm fucking terrified. Yeah, another thing, too, that I found interesting was how the daughter, essentially died the same way that the dad did. That's something that's happened in not just in media like this, but just in media in general. The whole like, but I didn't tell him how she died. I didn't tell her how he died, but she's having the same delusions. That's like a general horror movie thing. So like it's happened before, but it was still fun to see it happen here as well. I say fun very loosely. I use it very loosely. I guess the way, but what's very interesting though. Yes, it was terrifying, the fact that like, she's clearly going through something, even though obviously, Kayako exists. Like the Grudge exists in this universe, but it's sad to see that she's going through something. But at the same time, I think as someone who, if I was in the situation, I would have been dead immediately. I love her resourcefulness, I think.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have made 15 minutes into one of these movies.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. So the fact that, like, her friends are like, oh, wow, she's really going through some stuff, poor her. And I'm like, no, take fucking tips. Like, write that shit down. She's lived longer than most of the people have in this film.
Yeah. Like,
they cut to 2 weeks later for her, or something like that. It was longer than a week when the mom came out. By the way, she also did not look well. Like when she came out, she was, sunken face. She was like, yeah, my daughter, she's been in that room. And like we see the daughter, and like, yes, of course the daughter doesn't look well either, but still, again, she's living. It's like I always forget. Have you seen the first Nightmare on Elm Street?
No.
Okay, but as you know, just because of pop culture, Freddy gets you in your dreams. So
yes.
You have to stay awake. But that also obviously takes a strain, it's a little strenuous. So it'll be, so you'll see someone like not looking too hot, and it's just like, hey, they're alive. So in this case, we see the daughter, and it just looks like she's she's so pale. She hasn't seen any sunlight. I hope she's eaten. But like you see her and it's just like, oh, she does not look well. It's like, hey, she's amongst the living. That's more than any of you can say if you've, seen this, if you've been in that house. Which, something I want to say, and I think this might be considered a controversial opinion, but frankly, I'm going to say it, and I think you'll agree with me. Every time someone says the phrase, well, why didn't they just run? I think this is the one franchise that I'm just like, do you see what's coming down the stairs at you?
Yeah.
Because normally I kind of agree. I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't you run? Fight or flight, you'd probably flight the fuck out of there. Like, depending on the horror movie, I'd flight so hard I'd grow wings.
Oh, absolutely.
But in this case, if that's coming down the stairs at you, first of all, the way the stairs are set up are perfect, because I would also trip down those stairs, which, again, helps you be stuck at the bottom of the stairs so that she could kill you. But even though I do enjoy that, I think it was the second movie, The Curse, too, that ended up having the one teacher try to run out, and then she was at the door and stopped him. Well, that was a beautiful scene, and I did enjoy it. Still, she's just so terrifying on her own that it's just like, you're going to be paralyzed in fear when you see some shit like that crawling down the stairs at you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course.
Because the thing is, the reason why I say
sometimes, because sometimes, like you in some situations, you wouldn't have the psychological. It's not that you don't want to run. It's that you wouldn't have the psychological ability to run in that moment. Like you would be paralyzed with fear at some points.
Exactly, and it's just something that. The reason why I want to bring it up, though, is because, and I say it might be controversial, because sometimes you have a lot of internet, I'll say not even tough guys, because, women watch horror movies as well, so tough people that are just like, I would run in that situation. And I think that happened a lot to us when we were teenagers. Either we would say it or we would hear someone else say it, and we'd either say yeah or like we wouldn't really talk about it as much. But like now it's like we are adults. We have a podcast, god damn it. We have the right. No one made us gods, but we've taken the mantle. No. We are the new gods. But still, oh God, no. But seriously though, people say that all the time, I think, and I feel like it's still a prevalent thing. So I want to shut that shit down. It's like you would not run, you would be fucking terrified to the point where you wouldn't run. You'd be like, oh good God, what in the fuck? Like you'd say, what in the fuck is that? More so than you'd probably run. And I'm not saying it's true of everybody, but yeah.
In a lot of situations, as the words "what in the fuck" is coming out of your mouth, you wouldn't have time to run.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I think it's just something that, especially the way they did the makeup in this movie too, and the way she crawled. I want to find the actress's name because I forgot her name. I'm going to find it right now. The way she crawled is just like, oh my fucking God. Like this, she was terrifying. It's beautiful. It's very much, even though there wasn't demonic possession necessarily, it very much feels like the Japanese
the way
Exorcist.
She crawled, I thought that was a camera trick. Like I thought that was
no,
like
I'm pretty. No, I'm 95%.
Camera trick.
No, I'm 95% sure that was her.
That's
like
impressive.
She's just, because I'm pretty sure she's a gymnast, or she did the. Let me see here. I want to make sure that I'm not talking out of my ass completely.
Completely.
Yeah, relatively. But let's see. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. There we go. Yeah, Takako Fuji. She plays Kayako. She played the character for a while. She hasn't done it anymore, but she did it for a long, long time. Let me see. Oh, wow. Have you seen Princess Mononoke?
Yes.
She played, literally it says here, Woman in Irontown. I don't know if that's a specific person. Anyway, so, but yeah, so she.
I don't think I
by the
saw
way,
I think I saw the English. I don't think I saw the Japanese. I could be wrong.
No, that's fair. But anyway, so she's been Kayako, by the way, since the beginning. She was in Ju-on the Grudge, before even Ju-on the Grudge 1 and 2, she was in Katasumi and 44444. I think we talked about those during the Curse 2. Like, because those were two shorts. I'm pretty sure we talked about those. Like the cell phone short and then the school short.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure we... Yes. Because I thought I sent them to you, and we talked about them. Either way, but I say that she's been in there since the beginning because she was also in Ju-on the Curse 1 and 2. So she was there for the Curse 1 and 2, in those shorts, in the Grudge 1 and 2. She was also in the Japanese Grudges, the English Grudges as well. So she actually took over, she also played that character in the English Grudge 1 and 2. How crazy is that?
I remember you telling me that too, yeah.
That's nuts. Then she's also, as a voiceover actress, I know I shouldn't be laughing, but it just takes me as a surprise. She was in Naruto Shippuden as Hidden Stone Village Jonin. It's like, okay. Also, she was in Turn A Gundam as Little Girl in Canal C. So she doesn't seem to have done big roles, although she was in Ghost in the Shell Arise Architecture as Vivi, and she was in Devil Lady as Satomi Yuasa. That's so interesting. Oh, you want to know where things get really fucking weird? Anthony Toto?
They haven't
You want to
already?
get weird? You want to get weird? Like, have you seen Batman 1989? The one with Tim Burton? No, I mean the one that Tim Burton directed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to get weird? You want to get... So, okay. I think you know this, Anthony. We talked about this before. Certain movies in America, United States of America. I'm a citizen. They get brought over to Japan, and they'll get dubbed over. They won't just get subtitled; they'll also get dubbed over into Japanese. Fun fact, not relevant to this, but here's a fun fact: the Japanese voiceover, the guy that dubbed over, or whatever company that dubbed over Pirates of the Caribbean, so whatever company they got to dub it over, the guy that did Captain Jack Sparrow reprised his role as Captain Jack Sparrow from the movies in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh, okay.
This is all the Japanese side of things. So people who saw Pirates of the Caribbean in Japanese in Japan heard his voice and then got to hear his same voice in Kingdom Hearts 2. So just a little fun fact. Here's where shit gets weird. So the woman that has played Kayako, like literally crawled around as her, is the voice of Rose, not the Rose you're thinking of, the voice of Rose in Titanic.
I just need to process
By the way, as I see her crawl out and pull the daughter into the shrine. Yeah, I thought you were going to say, yes. I knew you were thinking Doctor Who. But by the way, I just want to mention, as I see her pull the daughter into the shrine, creepily while the friends looked in, I say that she voiced over Rose from Titanic. Yes, that is true. Also for horror fans out, yes, it is. For horror fans out there, she voiced Amanda Young in the Saw movie. I don't know if she was in every one, but she was in the first one. By the way, Anthony, are you a fan of the Hunger Games?
Yes, I am.
She did the voice.
Was she Effie?
No, Lieutenant Jackson.
Oh, okay.
You just accept it now? They're like, I accept this as fact.
Yeah.
Have you seen Maze Runner?
No, I haven't.
Okay. She was in Maze Runner: The Scorched Trials as Mary Cooper. And again,
wow.
just to remind everybody, she dubbed these over. What in the fuck? I think I'm what in the fucking more for that over. Like, she would be crawling down the stairs, and I'm like, you were really in Titanic. And I'm just, Matt, she's going to kill you. I know, but like, her heart will go on, question mark?
Oh my God.
I'm getting murdered. As I'm getting murdered. Anyway.
That's what you have to as you're getting murdered. Near, far, wherever.
You're doing that? I'm just going to end this right now. Just done. My God. I don't know why. I broke myself internally because I heard, "What's new, pussycat?" and then the kid meowing.
Okay.
What's new, pussycat? Meow. Although I imagined you doing the meow, that's why it sounded like that.
Oh my God.
Oh, so did you find the scene? So here's the scene that I could argue it's trying to bring about the whole scene of like possession, like the idea of possession, like in the first one, but it didn't necessarily come about, like it wasn't the exact same way like it was in the first two movies. But here's why I bring up possession, though, or some kind of manifestation of like a curse on someone. The whole hand coming out of the hair in the shower, which, by the way, was also prevalent in the English adaptation. It was in the trailer, which freaked people out at the time, myself included, because I was like, what the fuck? Because at the time I was like 11 or 12, so I see that trailer on TV, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
so,
that was another part that made me question things. That made me question,
how so? You mean like logically, or?
Well, yeah, that too.
Okay. No, I didn't know what way you meant, like questioning. That's why I'm like, go on.
I was like, how? What? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just one of those like, she's right behind you. Like, bro, she's right behind you, and because again, she's possessing her, quote unquote. So it's just like she's right behind you. No, she's not. What do you mean? She wasn't right behind you. What are you talking about? It's like, bro, she was like right there. No, she wasn't. Just go about your business. Just do what you were doing. It's like, all right. But yeah, so is there one part of this movie that you think, like, what is your favorite part of this movie? And it could be a character interaction. It could be a line that was randomly said. It could be a scare. What is your favorite part of this movie? Because I think the eyes in the camera might be mine.
I was going to say that, yeah, I was going to say the eyes in the camera, because I think that was, I mean, I only saw this movie once, but that stuck out to me as probably the most iconic thing that happened.
Okay. Yeah, if I don't go with that one, then I think, I'm wondering. I don't know. But I think that might be, yeah, because I'm trying to think of something else. Like, I don't want to have the same one as you. Oh, okay, I think my favorite scene, actually, is the brother at the door, the fake out, because I thought it was going to be him but possessed. But no, wasn't there. She's a dick.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I didn't. Well, because, like, at that point, it's not even about, like, I have this curse or I have this grudge. You're just a dick.
That's true.
Like, think about that, right? Like, if something like that did that to you with, like, your dad, you know, like, you think your dad's at the door, you open it up, no one's there, and then all of a sudden you hear, like, some mocking tone or something in the phone. You're like, you could have just killed me. Why are you doing this? Jesus. So, like, yeah, it's just terrifying. So, yeah, so that I think was, that might be my favorite part of the film. One thing I'll say, too, that I think is very interesting, how this potentially has inspired other movies after it. I don't just mean, like, the ones that have, like, crazy jump scares, like you think of, like, an Insidious or Mama or something like that. When you look at something like It Follows, the way the curse literally follows people, just like how in It Follows, it's a similar premise, where it's a curse that goes from person to person. I'm not going to say how, because that is kind of spoiling some stuff, but I'll talk to you about it later, Anthony, off podcast. But it's just interesting, like that, you know, the kind of curse and stuff like that. I do wonder, like, it's just so interesting to see, rather, how different movies, because It Follows came out, like, last year, or maybe, like, 2 years ago. So that's super new.
Well.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, It Follows is really, neither have I, but I've heard amazing things about it. So It Follows being so new, and this movie literally being 16 years old at this point. So you think, like, how many, you know, filmmakers were inspired by movies like this, even though to us it feels like this movie, I don't know about you, but I feel like this movie came out 5 years ago still. I'm still like, oh yeah, that one was about like 5 years old, 16 years old.
Mhm.
Good God. All right, so anything else you want to add before we kind of wrap this thing up?
Stay away from old abandoned houses.
I mean, I think this is a great deterrent for that. At some point you wonder if this was, like, funded by the Japanese government. Like, these kids are playing near these abandoned houses. How do we stop them from... Just put a grudge there. All right.
Just put a grudge... The government is like, yeah, we got some of those that we can put in houses.
Just put a grudge there. All these kids are using these VHS tapes, so we want to sell some new DVDs. How do we do it? 7 days, that's how. Like, just
oh, my God.
Fucking make the ring. They're all just government funded. No, I would never accuse the Japanese government of funding movies as propaganda. That is
nor
wrong.
would I.
Yeah, exactly. We do not condone that here. No, but it's just funny how, like, they pick... The second one is very conspiratorial, but, like, this one is only funny because, yeah, it's like, don't play in abandoned houses. It's like, well, that'll fucking teach you how to. Because why the fuck would I ever want to play in an abandoned house if I see this shit? But yeah, so I'll say this. I'll say that regardless of, I think you should watch this movie. If for some reason you're listening to our commentary and you haven't already, or maybe it's been a while, I would suggest giving it a rewatch. I think it stands up. I really do. And I really do enjoy I just enjoy the way this movie was shot, and the way they incorporated all the scares, but not necessarily jumping out at you like an ooga booga booga kind of thing, Like it was very subtle to me, and I really enjoyed that. And I hope you do too if you're listening in and you've seen it recently. And if not, again, even if you don't enjoy it, that's totally cool. But I think there should be at least a little bit, a little portion of respect to this movie. Isn't even a little bit, even if you
absolutely.
really hate this movie. Even if you
and
hated the movie.
I would also say that, as someone who is not big into horror, this movie made me a bit more intrigued about the Japanese horror scene. So I would recommend checking it out as a gateway into that type of story, even if you're not familiar with it.
And it definitely was a gateway for a lot of people. I'll say that much. All right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, definitely. All right, so thank you all so much. Love you all. Take care. And tune in next time when we talk about something completely different. Also want to mention, just very briefly, you can find not only posts about this and future podcasts, but about a bunch of different stuff that we do over at our Facebook, facebook.com/ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, or you can go to our Twitter @ThoseGuysRadio, or you can go to our main website, tgproduction.net. All right. Thank you all so much. Love you all. Take care. And tune in next time. Say goodnight, Anthony.
Good night, and stay away from old abandoned houses.
Y'all really should. See ya.
Bye.